Aloha everyone, this is Lenora, Hawaii's Pickle Lady. Today I'm going to show you how to make buns that they usually eat with Kau Yuk or Peking duck, and they usually call it bao. So I call it House Bau Buns because the typical American buns, Parker House, are round and then they fold it in half. So this is the easiest way to describe it. So that's why I call it Parker House Bau Buns. And it's pretty easy to make. And the first thing you have to do is dissolve some yeast in warm water or lukewarm water. So 1 tablespoon of yeast or 1 package of yeast. And 2 tablespoons of sugar. And all you do is you kind of mix it up, and you don't have to totally dissolve it. Just mix it up and let it sit, and then it'll grow because it's a plant, and it'll take about 5 or 10 minutes. So we'll set this on the side for now. Now this KitchenAid mixer, I really like to do it because you don't have to knead it by hand. It does the work for you. So this is called a dough hook. So I'm going to attach it to the bowl or to the machine. Very easy to do. And then I'm going to crank this bowl up. There. Okay. Now, first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the dry ingredients in the bowl, which is 2.5 cups of flour, 1 teaspoon of, half a teaspoon of baking powder, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. So all you do now is you turn the mixer on to low, just to kind of mix up the dry ingredients. The yeast has risen and it's bubbly, so that's how you can tell when it's ready. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to pour it into the bowl. I'm putting 2 tablespoons of oil and 1/2 cup of milk, which is warmed. Okay, and now I'm going to turn it on low, mix it up until it's well blended. Now after a few minutes I'm going to stop it because the flour isn't going in, so I'm going to push it to the center. But the dough hook will pick up the flour eventually, but I just want to make sure it's all in the center. So now I'm going to put it on low speed and let it knead. That's what it's doing, so I don't have to do it by hand. I don't even have to touch it. And I'm going to put it on for 10 minutes until it's all coming together into a ball. Okay, the dough looks really good. So actually I'm going to take it off. So I'm going to lower this. Let's see, where's the handle? Take off the dough hook. And you see how nice it is? It's just made it into a ball. I didn't have to do a thing. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put it back in the bowl, take off the dough hook, and cover it with plastic wrap. And let it sit until it rises double in shape for 1 hour. But in the meantime, I'm going to show you, I'm going to steam these. So you see how nice this is in here? And I'm going to show you how to make this fit exactly. So what I do is I took a piece of parchment paper, I kind of made it just about the circle there. So I take the scissors, and what I do is, and you can do this for cake pans too, it really works good because sometimes it's hard to guess and to make it fit exactly in the pan. So I just fold it in quarters first, and then in a triangle. And the center point, what I do is I take this steamer and I find the center. Put the point on the center and then push this paper, see all this excess, and mark it. Crease it so I know where to cut, okay? So now you have this kind of rounded shape. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut the paper off. That's the excess. And then open this up and you'll have a circle. This is a really good trick to know. And then, and if it's still too big, I can just, it seems like it's a little big, so I'm gonna cut it one more time. A little bit more. Just maybe half an inch or less. And parchment paper is so wonderful. It doesn't stick to anything. So it's great. So you see, you have the perfect circle. And okay, we'll come back in an hour. The dough has been rising for an hour. Now I'm gonna punch it down one time, take it out of the bowl, and then I'm gonna make it into a ball. And then I'm gonna roll it in a big circle, at least 12 inches or more. So just roll it like this. And this will rise quite a bit too. And you see, it's not sticky. So it's a pretty good dough. Now, I think this is a big enough circle. And watch this till the end because there's other parts coming up. So you take a glass about 3 inches across and you press down firmly and it cuts it. And then just leave it on the side for now. If you don't press it hard, it doesn't cut good. So I'm just going to do a few so you can see the process. Okay, so now what I do is I take a chopstick and I push down the middle. So it's easy to fold. That's why I call it Parker House rolls or bao or bun, because that's how the Parker House rolls are made. So I have here a little bit of sesame oil, maybe a teaspoon. You don't need too much because you don't want it to stick together. So just a light brush. You can also spray it, but it's kind of messy when you do that. So I prefer the brush. See, and you don't need too much oil, just a little, just to keep it from sticking, okay? Now, what you do is you fold these in half at the fold line. And then you take your rolling pin and you press it down a little bit. Because when I did these before and I didn't press it down, when they rose, they all opened up. And you don't want that to happen. So hopefully this will keep it from opening up. They look kind of flat now, but they'll puff up when you steam it. Okay, now I have here parchment lined steamer, bamboo steamer, which I like. I think it works better. So you just place them in your steamer on the parchment paper. Don't let it touch each other because they tend to stick to each other. And then I'll continue with this. Okay, now I'm going to stack these one on top of the other, and I'll let it rise for half hour, and then we'll steam it. The dough has risen for 30 minutes, and this is how it looks. It's kind of puffed up. This bamboo steamer I'm going to put in the wok. So I have about 1 inch of water in the wok, and it's boiling. So now I'm going to put the steamer in, and as long as the water doesn't get into the steamer, so there's plenty of room. And then I'm going to time it for 10 minutes. You also can use a metal steamer like this. This is the more typical one. But be sure you line it with parchment, because if you don't, it'll stick all over and it'll be hard to clean. Okay, it's been 10 minutes, and they say to wait about 5 minutes so that the steam doesn't all go back down onto the buns, because I've had that happen sometimes when it causes dimples and you can't get rid of it and it's spoiled. So slowly take it off, and there you are, beautiful buns. So here are the buns. I'm taking one out, and it's really good. It didn't even stick at all. And you see, when I brush the sesame oil, it makes it so that you can just pull it apart. And how they eat it is usually with Peking duck. They use the skin, and then they put hoisin sauce, and then some green onions, and also some braised belly pork, and Kau Yuk, which is the braised belly porks in a different way. So I'm gonna taste it and pull it apart, and you can see how light and fluffy it is. Really nice. Now this recipe makes at least 10 baos, but you have some leftover pieces that you can re-roll and roll again and cut out to make maybe a couple more. And these are so good. When people buy the Peking duck, they want to know where they can buy this. Not all stores sell it. And when you can find it, it's quite expensive. And it's not even as fluffy as this one, so you can't beat this one. And like I said, very easy to do. If you like this video, don't forget to smash that like button. Tell your friends about it too. And subscribe and comment. Thank you for watching. Mahalo.